B, you might need to put on that Batman mask that he was rocking a couple seasons ago. Now, before we let you go, let's revisit some of the breaking news from earlier in the day. Shams Charania reporting that the NBA is finalizing a lottery reform. Headline notes are expanding the lottery to 16 teams, flatten the odds while penalizing the teams with the worst 3 records. Also, teams would not be able to win the top pick in consecutive years. Lastly, teams not able to win 3 consecutive top 5 picks. So all of that jargon, if you will, how close does that come to solving the tanking issue that the NBA has?
All of that is nonsense. I read the whole thing. I have no idea what the hell it says. Trevor, you know, if that's what you want to do, if you want to solve a problem that exists sometimes, will it exist next year? Probably not. Next year doesn't have the people at the top of the draft projected anyway that will even cause this many teams to tank. Load management is what the league needs to be addressing, but no, it won't address that. It's going to address tanking. Okay, this year, tanking was a problem. No one wants to see as much tanking as we saw in the NBA this season. So they're reacting to something that is now over, that they're not going to fix in the upcoming 26 draft. They're going to address it for 26, 27, 28. That's it, or 27, 28, 29. That's all. So what is it doing? What's the net result? How does that help the perception that the league doesn't care about the regular season, which is a widely held perception, particularly for people who spend a lot of money to go to games and take their families to go to these games, and they don't see anybody that they paid to see. Load management. But the league doesn't want to address that. So for me, and I'm one of those people, I may be the exception. There are a lot of people out there, a lot of my colleagues in media who want to go after tanking. I'd rather go after load management. So I see this as just if not a complete waste of time, largely a waste of time. A lot of effort put into what? What's it going to do? If you have a draft, if you're a league, if you're a sport that has a draft, then you're by nature, by definition, encouraging teams to finish lower in those standings to move higher in the draft order. By definition, by design. So you want to get rid of tanking, get rid of the draft. Then have the guts to go all the way to do that. I like the relegation part. I do. So relegate more. Be harsher about that. But this is a whole lot to do about nothing. And by the way, I need to read it again as soon as I get off the air with you, and maybe I'll understand it after the 4th or 5th take.
You and I both. Phil, my in-laws were chirping the ever-loving mess out of me after the beat down the Hawks caught in Game 4 all weekend. Series tied 2 apiece. Game 5 went down point and 8 assist night. Knicks get consecutive playoff wins by 15 or more, first time in franchise history.
Jalen, what's the confidence level around the team as you head to Atlanta with a chance to close out the series?
Confident.
Confidence is built in the work. So I think for us, we just understand what the situation is. The toughest game to win is the one that ends someone's season. So we got to be super disciplined. We got to execute at the highest level that we have in this series, and we got to be ready for a really tough game.
The stakes are high. This is your season on the line, and you know that, and we have to find that level for ourselves, in the way that we play, and obviously, that involves both defending and attacking New York, but we have to do it. We have to play to our strengths, so to speak. And that's the challenge, but it's also the opportunity.
Michael Wilbon, kind enough to kick it with us from MSG ahead of Game 5. Wilbon, you told the inside crew that there was a bit of tension in the air there. Seems like things were pretty loose by halftime, though. What happened in this one?
What happened was, let's see, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, among other things, happened, and there was no game. There was no tension. There was never any tension after the tip-off. All the tension was pregame, Trevor. And so, to be here as excited as I was, which everybody was, to be in Madison Square Garden for a playoff Game 5, when there had been some tension in the previous games, there was none. And I switched off. I went and found a television so I could watch the 76ers and Joel Embiid create some tension in Boston and some tension in that series, because Brunson and Towns and company left none in this building.
So let's get to the game that you were more dialed in on, and reasonably so. That Phillies survival, fighting off elimination in Boston. What impressed you most about their showing?
It's got to be Joel Embiid, right? I mean, there were times you weren't sure that he could finish a layup, that there was enough push in his legs, and I guess we're talking about his knees because we've been talking about those for years, to get the ball over the front of the rim, and yet he scores 33 points. I mean, it was amazing. 7 assists, and here's maybe the most important stat for Joel Embiid tonight. He played 39 minutes. Now, I know that people, will sometimes take little shots here and there at Nick Nurse for playing his starters, but you got to play your starters. You're facing elimination, and everybody that he trotted out there seemed to be ready to play 40 minutes or more. But Joel Embiid, to come off what he's coming off of, appendectomy, and play 39 minutes and have that kind of production, it was stunning, I think, to everybody watching. It might have been stunning to the Celtics, because all they did was go back to a previous form that didn't work and shoot and miss threes. And in the meantime, now you got a Game 6 in a series that almost none of us saw Game 6 coming.
Yeah, truly a hero's effort from both. We'll try to sort things out. It feels like you just have to alter incentives as opposed to trying to just change rules surrounding the incentives. Michael Wilbon, we appreciate you joining us here on SportsCenter, sir.
Longtime player and coach Damon Jones became the first of 34 defendants to plead guilty in the DOJ's sprawling gambling and poker ring cases. Jones was accused of luring players into rigged poker games and of selling non-public NBA information to bettors. One alleged text on a yet-to-be-reported LeBron injury before playing the Bucks in 2023 read, quote, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee before the information is out." Jones had pled not guilty in November. ESPN legal analyst Ryan Smith has more on the trickle-down effect of Jones's changed plea.
Damon Jones's guilty plea today could have a ripple effect across the NBA gambling case and the dozens of defendants charged, including Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. Jones didn't mention either today in court when admitting he and unnamed co-conspirators schemed to bilk sports betting companies out of money, with Jones saying he sold information derived from his NBA ties. He also admitted to being a face card in the rigged poker game case, using his name to pull in marks, admitting he knew these victims were being cheated. What Jones did today is validate the government's biggest allegations of how these schemes worked in both cases, and that's a win for the government. Now they'll push to see who strikes a deal next. Jones is the first, and these things can sometimes have a domino effect. Other co-defendants, worried about what might happen, might feel the pressure to strike deals. Often, the longer you wait, the worse the deals get. And for co-defendants who aren't looking to plea, which seems to be at this point to include Billups and Rozier, both of whom have pleaded not guilty, they may be considering whether others will strike pleas to say something about them. Jones's lawyer previously said Jones won't be cooperating against the other defendants, meaning he won't testify against them and might not offer incriminating evidence against them. But the government is now suggesting Jones spend years in prison for his role in both cases. Sentencing for him is set for January 6th of next year.
So Jones pleads guilty, and as Ryan said, Rozier and Billups have not done so. Rozier is accused of manipulating his own play to purposely go under his own player props, while Billups' named accusation includes profiting from rigged and mafia-backed poker games.